बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। आज अस्सलाम वालेकुम वरहमतुल्लाह। आज हम we are back with our new episode of Overseas Pakistani Show. This is the voice of economic voice, you can say, of overseas Pakistanis who are really concerned about their beloved country, and they are hoping that the country is going to be beautiful and develop and amazing like we are living in United Kingdom, United States and Australia and Europe. Country is going to be like a benchmark country which is full of innovation and creativity and value addition to the global society, with the best human resources and the best treatment with the woman and child. This is what overseas Pakistanis is always dreaming about Pakistan. Today, our program is on a very interesting topic, that is a panoramic overview of our economy, and specifically, we will focus on the functioning of Ministry of Finance. Now, we know that the government has been changed in 2022, and things are quite unusual in terms of consumer price index. Prices are going heavily up, and it's going away from the affording of the general citizen. Every individual um, who is living with limited resources is actually struggling with their cost of living, and their life has become terribly um, difficult and hard. We receive a lot of comments from the general public who was really frustrated, but there's no way out, and there is a very limited information available at what will be the future of finance in Pakistan, especially when we are in huge debts of IMF, which has been introduced in 90s by the governments, democratic governments, so called, and since now this is continuous deterioration in terms of financial issues and financial crisis. Every time we are listening that these 6 months are very important. Now people are now the machinery is actually giving a good news that we got a loan and we can survive for another 3 to 6 months, and this is what is very frustrating for Pakistan. Now we have to discuss and see that last couple of days we heard that the Moody's has downgraded the credit rating for Pakistan from B to C, which is quite alarming. It shows mistrust in the ministry, and it shows the mistrust in the economy and the growth and the people who are running the machinery, and which is really, really very, very alarming. So today we will discuss about this downgrading. We'll see what is the financial performance, and we will see the other factors that are going to take care of the economy. So let's go towards our prestigious guest joining us live from Sydney, Australia, and he is an economist. Please welcome him with us.
Thank you so much, Musa. Thank you for the kind and warm introduction. Uh, and good evening and assalamu alaikum to all the viewers and listeners. As we have mentioned, yes, it's again pretty much night and evening in Sydney, and yes, I'm looking forward for your good questions today. And
That's great, Imran. Always, you are always smiling and available in the middle of the night in Sydney when the other part of the world is still awake. So, are you excited about the World Cup coming up? Is it Australia is ready for it?
Yes, there is a lot of activity going on currently regarding the T20 World Cup. But once again, because those days were gone when Pakistani team used to be a very good team, and we were have the level of excitement at that time was really really great. But now, obviously, we know that our beloved Pakistani team is not a big tournament winner. So let's see how we go with this tournament this time.
That's amazing. I guess that we always need to take hope for ourselves, and I'm hoping that same like '92 when the team was really weak, and we won the World Cup. So maybe this time also we can see. Now let's move towards the main program, and people are really interested to know that how you see this year for the Pakistan in terms of financial indicators and the monetary policy and the dollar rates, everything people want to ask. So my first question is about the panoramic overview, what's going on and how it looks.
Thank you, Musa. That is, I think, that is the right way to start. And this is a quite generic question these days. Everyone is asking about the economic and financial condition of Pakistan. Look, I would like to say that the economic and financial condition of Pakistan is unfortunately it has deteriorated, and there is not any good news from any end is coming at the moment. Pretty much the policies we used to have in the recent government, which was helping out the economic outlook at that time. I won't be saying that those were the great policies, those were the best policies, and they have dramatically changed the outlook at that time. Those, in my understanding and opinion, the country and the financial system was going on at that time. It was still working, it was still running. However, due to the political instability, due to the non-existence of legitimacy in the current government mandate, and the political instability has acted heavily, and it has a high impact on the economic and financial activity at the moment in the country. And that has actually deteriorated the outlook of financial activity in Pakistan. As far as the things concerned about the monetary policy, yes, we have seen that the state bank SPP has tightening the monetary policy in the recent few months. The interest rate is really high, and Pakistan, especially, is facing once again the serious crunch of the foreign reserves. But that is something is not a new story. I would like to say that this is what we have been having from many many years. That there is always some time some problem happen, and we are in the problem where we are facing the crunch or scarcity of the foreign reserves. So, in my saying, when we talk about the panoramic view, the overlook view, there needs to be a lot of thing needs to be done, especially on the economic and financial perspective side of view. There needs to be a proper guideline, proper policies, proper formations of the different bodies, which will increase or enhance the productive capacity of the different institutions. And those institutions, by having a good productivity and output of their activity, will enhance the economic activity in the country. I would like to give you an example of the one of the example, just as a starting point, that we all know that we import our fuel, our fossil fuels for the energy sectors, and energy whole energy sector is dependent upon that oil and fossil fuels imports. In spite of the fact that, by knowing this fact, back in 1990s and late 80s, we have gone into the agreement of the power generation units, those who are highly reliant on the fossil fuels, diesels, and furnace oil, and all these things. Um, at that time, we haven't had a good planning, given the fact that we are neither the domestic self-sufficient producer of the fossil fuels. We have to import these fossil fuels. So, how we import those fossil fuels? We use dollars. We use foreign exchange reserves to import these fuels. And uh, uh, how come when we see this fact from last 30 years, our currency has devaluated, depreciated against dollars. We don't have the capacity or command to print dollars locally. We have to depend upon the foreign reserves either through exports of our goods, either through the foreign remittance, and all these things. The proper planning hasn't been done, number one. And now we are into that situation where we are actually importing the oil and fossil fuels to generate energy resources within the country and sell those energy resources, and the buyer of those energy resources is a common Pakistani within Pakistan, those who pay for this in Pak rupees. So I hope you understand my point where I'm coming from. um, I mean, this does not make any sense that we are giving subsidies on the energy sector. But unfortunately, we haven't increased our growth, domestic growth, our productive capacity within the economy. And the people in Pakistan it hasn't have seen any real increase in their real and income. And in this sort of situation, it is very difficult for them to consume this expensive form of electricity or energy which is produced on the base of this imported fossil fuels. So this is a collapse of the policy. This is a collapse at the policy levels. So in my saying, if you look toward any sector in Pakistan, look toward agriculture sector. Agriculture sector, approximately, I was reading some stats and figures, contribute around 20% of the GDP of Pakistan still today. But when we look toward the active taxation and generation of revenue from the agriculture sector for the government in the form of taxes, that contribution is even less than 1%. So what I want to say here, there is a systematic collapse. Different areas, different institutions, and different problems are there, and nothing has been done to rectify those problems. And in spite of the fact that we are facing these problems, but we haven't learned anything good from the past and from these problems. So in my saying, whatever the sector you look toward the in the economy in Pakistan, look toward the FBR, the Federal Bureau of Revenue, which is responsible for the collection of taxation. When we design our fiscal policy, the fiscal budget every year, the government project that this is the revenue they're going to collect from the people as a tax. But nothing has been done to increase the efficiency of the FBR. Why I'm pointing out this one? What is the cost of collection of taxes? There is a one common example I can give you in this. Every $100 or every 1,000 rupees the government of Pakistan which is collecting as a tax, the cost of collection of the tax is around 8 to 9% on that one. In my understanding, if proper planning, proper formatting has been done, where we can see example of the modern advanced countries, first world countries. I can give you an example of Australia. Proper sort of planning, instrument, strategy, formation of proper tools and equipment needs to be done, where we can reduce the involvement of human beings in that sort of collection mechanism. And when we reduce the involvement of the human body in that tax collection mechanism, and everything needs to be done through black and white, through accounts, through systematic generation, we will see the cost for collection of the taxes will not only reduce, but the evasion, the discrepancy process will also reduce. So in whole, whatever the sector you look toward deeply in Pakistan economy, there is a lot of problem you're going to see. I mean, we can simply pick models of different advanced nations or different first world nations around the world, and we can replicate those models towards the betterment of our institution in Pakistan. But unfortunately and sadly, nothing has been done in the past, and there is nothing we can witness at this point and stage. Another good example in this situation I can give you about the State Bank of Pakistan. State Bank of Pakistan, in my understanding and in my view, needs to be a independent institution, needs to be an independent body, not under the influence of the government, not under the influence of the Ministry of Finance, not under the influence of the Treasury. But in recent years, we have seen State Bank of Pakistan is being under a great influence of whatever the government came, whatever the Ministry of Finance came, being involved in the activities like printing the local money rapidly, drastically to cover the deficit of the fiscal policy, and that has actually impacted a lot. I would like to say that this current wave of hyperinflation from which Pakistan is going through at the moment, there is the one big root cause of that problem is also the excessive printing of the local currency just to cover the fiscal deficit at that time. So, in saying, there's a lot of problems. In my view and my understanding, none of the problem has been addressed, and there isn't or hasn't any step has been taken which I can witness in the coming years or in the coming months. Those who can rectify these problems and at least put those institutions towards the right direction or on the right track. Yes, Musa.
Oh, that's a lovely analysis. It's a very lovely analysis. You summarize so many important things and policy analysis in your small, like your concise talk. And I also received some questions like from the people about the structural corporate governance infrastructure of the ministry and the governors. And you rightly said that FPR uh, is actually, as we interact with lawyers and chartered accountants, and it is a joke, like they say that what kind of letter you want to receive from FPR, type it in your office, give it to us, we will get it done from them. So this kind of corruption and impression of the governance is killing for the country, beautiful country like Pakistan. Because if you compare with the developed countries, they take their tax collections very secretly, because this is for the people of the country. Imagine like if we will leave the taxes, we will not take from the rich people and we will not pass in the benefit to the poor people, what will be the condition of the country as a whole? And that's the mentality between behind a developed versus a developing country. So this is a very good avenue that we need to assess, monitor, and make FPR as a state of art department. So a lot of people are talking about the dollar versus other currencies, and we are always facing the dollar crisis. Dollar prices are going up, and as the dollar start coming up, the oil and gas, all other ancillary impacts comes, and the cost of production goes higher and higher. So in that particular case, it's very important to keep dollars always in control. So with this, I want to put you a question that what 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 happened with dollar, and what are the present measure of the government in order to handle the prices, the fluctuations of the dollar rate. Please give your thoughts on it.
Thank you, Musab. I think that is one of the most popular question these days. Everybody has this question on their tongue, and everybody wants to know what's going to happen. What's going to be the price of the dollar, and where they're going to see the dollar. But to be honest, Musa, in my opinion, in my understanding, uh, expensive dollar or increasing price of the dollar or decreasing price of the dollar has nothing to do with the economic prosperity, and it definitely, yes, it does have a impact on the local economics and the living conditions of the people in Pakistan, because we are highly import relying economy. But if we have a good economic growth, the local productivity, local growth, and all other economic activity in the country for the generation of employment, people are getting more employments, their real income is increasing, their living standard is increasing, and all these things, it does not have a much impact on the up and down pricing of the dollar. But if we look toward the condition of Pakistan, I think there is a general psyche over there. Everybody thinks that if the dollar price is cheap, then economy is progressing and we are doing very good. Um, uh, but I would, in terms of the specific pricing and this question, which everybody is asking these days, what's going to be the price of dollar in the coming months or in coming weeks, and what's going to happen to the dollar? This new government is coming. I mean, different local theories is circulating and moving around. What I would like to say that look, the real value of the dollar, or the real term value of the dollar, my understanding could be around that point and needs to be around that point, which is 215 or 220 or 225 mark. The reason why, because what we have seen in the previous regime of 2013 and 2018, the government tried their best to keep the dollar price artificially low by using their own foreign reserve. Look, there are two sort of mechanism exist: fixed rate and the floating rate. I think at that time the finance ministry or the government was having the same psyche in their mind. Maybe they just want to win the hearts of their voter, or just want to show the local voters or public that we are doing really good. So look at this, the dollar price is same, doesn't matter, we are burning our precious foreign reserves to keep the dollar price artificially stable. However However, if you look toward the end of that government time, the dollar has depreciated, dollar has appreciated, and the rupee has depreciated against dollar. And then the regime of the PTI government came in 2018, and by 2022, we have seen the dollar price has gone to 178. I think during that time, state bank policy in terms of keeping the value of the dollar was pretty well managed in terms of the real time market factors. And what was the price we have seen around 175 to 180 band? That was a normal price for the dollar. If you look toward the inflation factor indicators, the US dollar DXY index in those few years, we can say that that was the reasonable price of the Pak rupee in terms of the dollar. And given the fact, by looking toward those indicators, again, what is actually happening around the world, US dollar is appreciating everywhere in the world. And there is a big reason behind this, that the Federal Reserve in states is increasing the interest rates. I mean, there is another economic theory behind this. Maybe they encouraging the recession, or they want to control the inflation, and that's why they are exponentially increasing the interest rate. And due to that, the dollar is appreciating against pretty much all major currencies in the world, against a GBP, a pound sterling, against Japanese yen, against euro, against Australian dollar, against Canadian dollar. Even though Australian and Canadian dollars are the commodity-based currencies, and they have some weakness as well because the commodity prices are declining again. However, in Pakistan, the dollar has dramatically jumped from 180 band towards 240, and there were different factors behind that story. One was not only the appreciation and strength of the US dollar, but the different factors, the local economics factor of Pakistan. We were facing the shortage of the foreign reserves, the IMF plan, which act as a credential for the credit policy of Pakistan, was on hold because there were few things, and political instability came in the country. Our balance of payment is still on the negative side. Our current account deficit is still on the negative sides. These all factors, and I would like to say that the market speculations acted a lot, and they have shown a big depreciation in the price of the rupee. But moving forward in the next few months, if we see, Musa, the oil prices, which is one of the biggest commodity import of Pakistan, oil prices has came down all over the world. Even though in the last week it has started going up, but it is still better from that place. When in June and July, or I think maybe May or June, the government of Pakistan has put the LC for 3 months for the import of the oil. And at that time, the price of the oil was at the mark of $112 per barrel. Given the fact that today the price of oil is towards $80 a barrel. So there is a big difference now. The commodity prices is coming down, but when we look toward that factor with the local economic indicators, now we have a problem of floods in Pakistan, and that will definitely have some impact on the export industry of Pakistan, especially the textile industry. And in coming months, maybe we need more precious foreign reserve to import the eatable commodities like wheat, like rice, and other commodities, just to meet our needs. So I would say in this way, like nothing has been done at the local economic level and at the local policy level where I can witness any change, that this is a new policy has been set it up, and that will increase the export value for the commodities of Pakistan, or that will decrease the value of the import commodities in Pakistan. So all the parameters, the import commodities are there. Exports might have some problems, might face some hiccups in the coming months because of the flood and all these things. And imports might see some sort of increase in bill because of the floods and all these things. And other factors, Musa, I would like to say, when we talk about economics, it's a very big topic. Now, winter is approaching in Europe, in America, and all over the world. And you might see that the prices for the energy commodities like oil, LNG gas, and all those things will also start going up. And traditionally it happens in every winter because of the demand and supply ratio. Demand will go up, supply, if hasn't been increased, the price will have an effect, and any increase in the price of those commodities will have an impact on the import bill of Pakistan. So technically speaking, if you look toward the forecasting and price of the dollar in Pakistan, uh, in real terms, it's gonna be around this benchmark, around this band, which where it is in these days. But it might have the possibility it will have a little bit variance toward upward side, unless the government, through its tools or through its fixed exchange rate, or through utilizing their own foreign reserves, would try to keep the dollar price low. That would be a different story then.
You analyze very nicely in terms of dollars. Apart from that, we have, apart from this, I want to add here with the additional observation that we are facing. Most of the Pakistani businessmen, they have companies in Australia, in America, in Canada, in UK. So when they are buying things, they are making payments from their companies overseas. So actually, they are not doing any movement of dollars. So there is no dollar in transactions, but they are paying things from their offices abroad. So it is likely perceived that there is a dollar mafia in the country who is actually playing with the dollar prices, and they are so strong, and they are part of the governance system of our country, that they are unable, that even the ministries are not willing or unable to handle this bad motives of these mafias who hold the dollars required. They release the dollar when it required. So this is also being heard quite loud. The people who have good knowledge of economy has been complaining this from last couple of years that dollar, it's not a country like America or UK or Australia where there's a free movement of dollar demand and supply. There are These are all inefficient markets, and in these markets, the true spirit of demand and supply cannot be observed. Like if you see our stock exchange, it's also a broker market. So 5, 10 brokers in the morning decide what they are going to buy. Whatever they buy, the prices start going up, and general public feel that the market is going up. And after some time, these 10 brokers again start selling the shares and market crash. But the poor or innocent investor always be suffering. And over the year, we saw that there is no regulator who is able to control this kind of phenomenon. And maybe there is a very less hope that there is a consideration by the responsible people to look into in order to create a corporate governance model. Still, Pakistan in the corruption list is one of the most worst countries in terms of public corruption. We didn't see any effort to automate the system as we told in for FPR. This is required for all the departments that we should immediately and quickly adopt the e-governance system and our the way we buy things for government from an e-portal, and there should be electronic systems that's to be introduced. Now we are almost in the end of our program, so I would request you for your closing remarks in terms of your financial overview of the Ministry of Finance and, in general, the monetary and fiscal policy.
Thank you, Musa. This is actually a very broad range question, but I would like to throw some light on the current situation, as well as, like I said in my previous answer, that I cannot witness anything new or anything toward the positive direction being done either by this Ministry of Finance for the betterment of financial system in Pakistan, or for the economic policy. But if you look toward the monetary policy, yes, I have witnessed that the interest rate has gone up in Pakistan, and monetary policy is getting is tightening as well, as we can see everywhere in the world. Pretty much, this is the era when all the reserve banks or the central banks around the world are tackling the problem of inflation, and in order to fight with inflation, they have started tightening their monetary policies by increasing the interest rate. However, when we look toward the fiscal policy of Pakistan, I think this year is going to be a tough year, and there is going to be a lot of fiscal deficit or fiscal gap we're going to see in our fiscal policy because of the floodings, because of the not expected collection of the revenues which the government has expected in the fiscal policy or in the budget of this year. So that is definitely going to be a problem which Pakistan is going to face this year. That there is going to be a big fiscal deficit as compared to the previous years. Um, I would like to give a suggestion or suggestive advice in this sort of current situation. I think the Ministry of Finance or the government bodies needs to work more decisively, more accurately, and they need to prepare their revised or rescheduled forecast regarding their fiscal policy for the year 2022 to 2023. And then they need to take that revised forecast of the fiscal policy to see where they are sitting as compared to the fiscal policy which they have designed before the evolution of these floods and these problems which is faced by Pakistan during this time. And then they will go to the international bodies, especially their partners like IMF, World Bank, and their friendly countries, those who have helped Pakistan in the last few years to overcome these problems, especially of the foreign exchange reserves, especially for the repayments of the loans. Because Musa, the other alarming factor is also that Pakistan have some commitments to oblige in this financial years. And if you look toward those commitments stands around easily for 22 to 23 billion dollars. So, in spite of the fact that we could see a big a challenging environment, if you look toward the figures from July to September quarter, our export has only generated around 4.9 billion USD. However, prior to July, we can see that the export bill was generating around 2 plus billion USD every month. So there is a decline over there. So that is a point of worry for Pakistan, for Ministry of Finance, for the government, that our export revenue is going down. And the other important thing, a source of foreign exchange for Pakistan is the remittances. However, we can see that there is a journal sort of recession is going to hit toward the first world or the Western countries. That might not affect the remittances so much, because most of the remittance of Pakistan comes from UAE, Saudi Arabia, and all these countries where are morely working and labor class Pakistanis working there, and they send their remittance back to Pakistan. But again, we need to control the misbalance of parity between the PKR and USD, because historically, when we have seen there is a big gap between the open market and the interbank rate, then people stop sending their remittances through the banking channels. So that might be or could be a problem for Pakistan in the coming months. I think they need to work more focusedly toward their exchange rate, toward all these factors. So the people will use the banking channels, and they will not sending their remittance to the non-banking channels, because it is going to be a great draining impact on the foreign exchange of Pakistan. Now, come toward the rescheduling of the fiscal policy. Yes, the government or the Ministry of Finance can go to the IMF, can go to the World Bank or other friendly countries that yes, we did the commitments with you, but due to this unforeseen circumstances, we have to revise our commitment. Yes, we do need help in that sort of situation, but I think the government needs to start doing some work on those issues. The government needs to get prepared for those issues, because if you won't get prepared for those issues, these issues will collapse just on you, what we have witnessed about a month ago. Because every day the USD was going up like 5 rupees, 10 rupees, 12 rupees, because we were hearing in the news we're going to have a deal with the IMF today, and IMF will have is going to release their package for Pakistan like today, or it's going to happen next week, or it's going to happen next week. They have put these two conditions. So uh, we need to learn from that situation. What happened in that situation? I can give you another very interesting example. I was looking toward the SPI index, the sensitive price index in Pakistan, and that is 40%. Now, put in this way, what government is doing, what Ministry of Finance is doing, when the country like Pakistan, the SPI index is sitting around like 38 to 41%, that is an alarming situation. What's going to happen with the people, the local people, those who hasn't had that much capacity to afford the basic needs of life? I mean, paying the electricity bill, paying for the fuel to commute and from go from point A to point B is another thing. But what about if people weren't able to buy food? What about if people weren't able to buy medicine for their health? What about if people weren't able to access those things which classified as the very basic necessities of life? So, in my saying, I cannot witness anything towards the any planning, even for the short term. What government is planning to deal with this sort of situation, and what government has in their mind or in their plans how they're going to overcome this situation. A lot needs to be done. Government needs to do some active steps. Government need to take some drastic measures so that in coming months, especially this winter, and they can overcome the problem of the energy sector. They can overcome the problem of all these things. Look at this, Musa, the energy sector. Now, I was looking towards some stats and figures, and also watching in the news that textile industry is going on to strike. I mean, the biggest problem, what we can see, that's yes, the energy prices has gone up. Government has removed the subsidy from the oil bill and from the energy products. That's why the energy prices has gone up. But what government needs to understand, if there is going to be a complete shutdown of the textile sector, how many jobs is going to be, how many people are going to be unemployed, how many jobs is going to be out of the economy. So that is an alarming point. That will not increase the pressure on the revenue side of the economy, but that will have other social impacts as well. So there are the coming months, the coming period is very challenging time for the economy of Pakistan, and for the Ministry of Finance, for the government, for the state bank itself to tackle the problem of inflation by looking toward the SPI index, which is sitting around 40%. The inflation in Pakistan, the figures are coming somewhere from 26% to 40%. And those are the figures which is actually going to not going to help the economy of Pakistan in any good sense in the coming time. Yes, Musa.
That's a very deep and interesting analysis. And with this analysis, we are going to close our program. I will summarize for our audience that how we see the panoramic view of our beloved country. So in 2022 and heading towards 2023, uh, our credit rating has been down from B to C, which shows that international donor or international credit agencies are believing that the country is deteriorating. We are still very up in corruption index. So we, in terms of corruption, our governance, the political era, and the government is one of the highest corrupted governments in general, no matter which party is ruling. But last couple of years, we are in terms of index, the corruption index, we are the worst in terms of the justice system. We are the worst in terms of e-governance. We are the worst in terms of fiscal deficit. We are the worst in terms of
I
monetary
would
policy.
like to add up one more point here. Sorry, my
Sure.
apologies for interrupting. I couldn't stop myself. The
Oh,
negative,
please go.
the downgradation of the rating of Pakistan by Moody's. Have you seen the outlook? The outlook is negative. They have
That's
not
true.
downgraded the rating from B to C, but they have downgraded, keep the negative outlook. So what does it mean actually? Today, if the Pakistani bonds in the world market, the comparative or the amount to get those bonds insured is very high. Back in 2018, that cost was around 2019. I remember that cost was around 5 to 6%. When this government toppled over, it gone up to 10%. All the political players and people were saying that it has gone up. Pakistan is going to be bankrupt and this sort of thing. But honestly, I have seen yesterday the cost of insuring these bonds has gone up to 25%. So put in this way, under this situation and circumstances, how different countries, how different world organizations and world bodies will lend you money, at what interest rate? Because your world markets is saying that the chances of getting bankrupt is more, chances of going into default is more. Nobody is willing to insure your government bond less than 25%. I mean, this is a joke. So looking to this factor, it looks pretty challenging time for Pakistan.
You're absolutely right, and this is very, very alarming for overseas Pakistanis who love their country, who live away and transfer their remittances, their skill, knowledge, ability, create some international global connections, create a soft image of our country. They are really concerned that when the situation is going to change, who is going to take the responsibility of our beloved country, that we need to respect the international assessment for our country with an open mind. For example, if Moody's is going to downgrade our rating, we have to respect them that they are having a required knowledge, ability, skills, and competency, and they are in a better position to foresee a country neutrally. Rather, we will try to politically secure that we will sue Moody's, we will do this, Moody's not right. This is not a proper attitude to look things into. If international reputed organizations like Moody, Fitcher, Standard and Poor, if they are saying something, there's an opportunity to learn and improve. So this is the positive attitude that we overseas Pakistanis feel that the Ministry of Finance or the related stakeholders has to respond in this way. The other way is how difficult is to improve your indicators. If you see that how the countries has transformed themselves from a desert to the ideal land where people are inclined to live and invest, why can't we as Pakistan can achieve that? Why can't we give our women in right index on the top? Why can't we create a justice system which our international countries can give an example for, that this is the Islamic country, they have better rules, they have better governance, they are no more in corruption, they are the innovative ones. They're and who is going to be make people responsible for taking loans in 90s? Who put you in the loan as a country? Are you going to ask them that why they took this loan? Why can't they live without loans? What was the need to take these loans? And now our generations are under debts. A baby born in Pakistan is a debt burden child, So, and there seems no recipe to bring it out. So this is really frustrating for the youth and the young generation. Want to see the older generation that why you did this with the country. And these are some questions that we will always keep posing to our nation, our people. We have a voting right. We have to improve our parliamentary systems. We have to bring change in our beautiful country, which has a lot of scope. With this hope that we will always be loving, caring, patriotic, and honest to our country, and we will give our best to improve it. I want to thank you for joining us today, and I'm looking forward to see you in our show with a new topic. Till then, take care of yourself, and Allah Hafiz.